Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2025 Coleman 17B. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice down below there, it's where you're going to find your spare tire, and located up top, you are pre-mounted and pre-wired for an observation camera, as well as a livery collapsible stair system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, it is as easy as contacting our parts department. Especially the livery collapsible stair system is going to be a great little addition for your camper, especially since you went with the solar option, so you can get up there and periodically clean your panels off, which is going to be done with a warm microfiber towel, which is hot water. No aggressive cleaning chemicals on it, as it will ruin the finish of the solar panel. And then, of course, doing your periodic seal checks makes it that much easier. Other than that, coming around to the driver's side of the unit first, pulling that bumper cap. That's typically where you're going to want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. You do get access from both sides. And then in this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you got these stabilizer jacks, and the way they work is you just hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool to the 3/4 inch drive nut, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just giving another 1/8 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Up from there, you do get your hot water service port. Really, the two things you need to worry about inside here is just this little switch that supplies power to the thermostat inside, and then this pressure relief valve. So this is an on-demand water heater. There's no tank involved. If you had a camper before, it probably had a tanked water heater, in which case when it came time to winterization, you had to make sure you turned all those bypass valves. With this system, it is the complete opposite. There's no bypass valves you need to turn. You run antifreeze through it. And then just at the end of your winterization process, remembering to crack this pressure relief valve and leave it cracked open for the duration of winter. But of course, you feel free to bring it to us for that. If you don't want to do it yourself, we are more than happy to help you out. Fresh water connection. So if you're at a site with service that doesn't have water, or you're just out boondocking, you could put a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to fill up your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Right down below, you get your city water connection. So if you're at a site with service, thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Right down below, take this cap, twisting it off. It's going to be, your sewer hose is going to have the same ear that this cap does, twists and locks into place. Then you got your gray valve and your black valve. You always want to empty your black valve first, as it's going to be your dirtiest water, filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve. It's typically a little cleaner water, filled from your sinks and your showers. Fresh water drain is going to be right here. And then you do get your standard 30 amp plug end. Most campsites should have this. You can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it. You're going to be going down in power, so you're not going to be able to run your air conditioner. Realistically, it's just to run your fridge, your lights, and charge up your battery. Once you plug it in, it does snap, go into place like so. This end does come out, it's extendable. You got about 15 feet of cord there, so sometimes, depending on the campsite you do go to, you might need a little bit of extra cord. So if you wanted to pick up an extension one, again, our parts department's gonna be a great place to do that, especially since you bought a new unit and you already did get a discount at our store. Inside here, front storage compartment goes right through to the other side. Feel free to fill it with everything you can. Of course, just be mindful of drains, water lines, and any wiring. And specifically by wiring, you get your solar controller, which is over here in the back. There's going to be a bunch of different settings you can go around and play with. I will recommend going over the owner's manual for playing with those, because it gets pretty in depth. But we do currently, or at the time that you're picking this up, as it is winter here in Manitoba, at the time of picking this up, we will have it set up through basic charging needs. So if there's sun outside hitting your solar panels, it's going to be applying a charge to your front battery. Around the front of the unit, this customer opted to go with 2 batteries, hence 2 battery boxes. Propane tank, pretty standard. Counterclockwise, like any standard barbecue, nice and slowly to open up the flow of propane. Tongue jack up front. The other side of your storage compartment is over here. And now for the best part, to take a step on inside. Pull these stairs and come down and fold out towards you. That'll allow you to open up your door. Once your door is opened up, first thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Taking a step on inside, up on the wall, you're gonna have an exterior light switch that turns on that little porch light outside to get majority of the inside lights on. They are just on their own center push button, so you can turn them on and off individually as you please. So now that we have a couple on, and we can see what we're doing. We'll go over the rest of this. So you got your monitor panel system. So pushing the button tells you a corresponding tank level, pretty simple. Water pump switch draws out of your fresh tank, and then you get your awning control. Now, before you ever go run your awning, it's always a good measure. If you notice with the door all the way open, runs into contact with your awning arm. So if you went to try and run your awning right now, it's gonna possibly cause damage if you don't catch it right away. So always make sure that you do have that closed 90 degrees. That way that awning can travel in and out freely without causing any damage. And then it's just as simple as pushing that extend button. The awning's gonna start making its way out. Once that awning does reach its full extension, you're gonna see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Sometimes the flap gets stuck, so you might just have to retract it a couple feet and put it back out again for it to come down. Whenever you put your awning out, it's always going to be a good idea. Keep an eye on the wind speeds once they do start picking up. This acts exactly like a wind sail, so it's gonna, chances are you're gonna rip your arms, rip your fabric, or bend your arms. Both get pretty costly pretty quick. So now you're gonna see we got that little flap hanging down and the back of the metal tube up front. So now, if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, with this loose obviously, pull it towards you, wherever you like it, tighten it up. That changes the pitch of your awning head, again, for either allowing water to run off, or if you just wanted to have it this much lower, you can do the same thing with the front arm, and it will allow for more shade underneath, for more sun coverage. Just of course, before you try to ever run your awning in, while taking a firm hold of this arm, you can loosen off this knob and allow it up to its natural resting position for when you do bring it back in. It's gonna be very important that you allow those both to their natural resting positions before you bring it back in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. To retract them, push and hold the retract button. Awning's gonna start rolling its way in. Now, if you were to have to roll this awning in while wet, obviously it's not recommended, but if you have to, there's obviously circumstances that it's fine. Just of course at your next earliest convenience, try and remember to roll it back out and allow it adequate time to dry off. That's just gonna stop the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. And once these arms automatically contact the side of the trailer, the motors will cut out. So that's it for that. Now you can come on inside. Up at the front of the trailer, your standard bedroom space. You're gonna have a TV back here, so if you want to mount a TV, they added some reinforcing here to support the weight of that. Up top, you got a couple different plugins, as well as this little black button. Turning this on turns that green light on. Now that's also turning on the antenna on the roof, so it's also gonna improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency. So I always recommend leaving it on whenever you're using the unit, but try and remember to turn it off whenever you're not using it. That way you're not drawing any battery power. Storage all around. Just again, whenever you are using the storage inside of here, just be mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. Again, you're not going to want to affect any of that. If you pick up on the couch mattress here, that does give you a little bit of storage space down below. And then up top, you do got 4 screws in each corner. 2 on this, obviously, in these corners, and 2 in the other 2 corners. This whole board would lift up, and at that point, that does give you access to your water pump for winterization. Back here, you get your standard residential style air conditioner. So whenever, of course, you're plugged into shore power, turning it on works exactly like it would at home. You push it on, you got your different modes, whether it be cool, dry, fan, or auto, and then your different fan settings, high speed, low speed, medium speed, whatever it happens to be, whether you want to set your temperature so it automatically kicks in and out, power button to turn it off. As you're going to see the table, it's already set up in its dinette situation, so in case you had extra guests that didn't fit in the bunks, you do got a couple, you could probably sleep 1 or 2 people on this if you really had to. And then just to get it back into a regular seating position, you're just taking these cushions, pushing them back over to their spots. You then pick up the table, and then you can fold out the table's legs back down, and then you could have it back into its table position. Whenever you are traveling, though, it is recommended to travel with it down in the bed position, just because these aren't fixed table legs to the floor, so this would fly around during travel, because it's not secured to anything, because they do just fold down from the bottom of the table. All the blinds in the unit, they do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them, push them up to retract them up. Kitchen space, excellent kitchen space. You got the fridge. All the controls for that are just on your right hand side, 7 being the coldest option, 0 being obviously the warmest option and off. Freezer up top, fridge down below. coming to my stove. So before I do go over the stove, I'm going to go over a few notes about propane. Because this unit is equipped with propane, we got our LP detector over there right underneath that bunk. So if this guy does ever start going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply at the front of the unit. Turn off the main supply of propane, open up some windows and vents, and allow some fresh oxygen inside of here. And then you can resume using stuff once it does stop. Now, whenever you turn the propane system off in this unit, it does slowly allow air into the system. Once air makes its way in, it does have to be purged out. Now, the quickest, easiest way to do that is going to be by running your stove. I always recommend to every customer I do talk to run your stove first thing. It's the quickest, easiest way to purge the system, just because you get to decide how long you run the gas valve for and how many lighting sequences you try and do. If you want to go to fire up your water heater or your furnace, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they don't sense a flame, they're just going to not light, in which case it causes you frustration because you don't know what's going on. So just to eliminate that, it is always a good measure to fire up your stove first thing. And if something does ever fail to fire on propane, it is always a good measure just try it a second time. Again, it just could be a weird purging issue. Now, unfortunately for this stove, you do have to have a lighter handy to get it to light, and I, of course, forgot one for the video. So you would just essentially turn it over to the high/light option with your lighter already handy and lit, holding it around the burner area. So that way, again, because it's a gas stove, you're being safe while lighting it, holding your face back. And before you even turn the gas on, you should have the lighter lit, ready to go. So that way, if there is propane flowing out of there, it doesn't build up, because if there's a buildup in a random source of combustion, you're going to get a little minor poof. And if your face is nearby, you might lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. And I don't know about you, but that does not sound like fun. So again, just be safe whenever you're trying to light it. Have that lighter handy as soon as you turn on that gas valve. That way, again, as soon as the propane does start flowing out, it's already lit. Other than that, it's a pretty standard kitchen space. Behind me, below our LP detector, you do get your main converter. It's also where all the breakers are. So if a breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All the corresponding fuses are on the right. I'm not sure what's beeping, but I will figure it out after the video. Thermostat. Now this is just for the furnace. Over like that, that's turning the furnace on. That's also, it's going to be technically its coldest setting. Sliding it all the way to the right is going to be its hottest setting. And then whenever you do fire that furnace up, clicking it to the left turns it off. But once you fire it, when you turn it off, it does run for an additional 3 minutes just to allow itself time to cool down for an added safety feature. You're going to see your bunk beds, they do have a weight capacity. They're good for 300 pounds. So that's a pretty big dude, but don't exceed that 300 pounds. Otherwise, the person below you may get crushed. Inside the bathroom, again, it's going to be your pretty standard bathroom space. Light switch on your head above. You do get a couple different vent lids inside of here. You're just having to pull on it and lift that up. Now you're going to see we do open up straight into the atmosphere. So if you want to get a max air cover to go over top of here, it's going to protect you from rain getting inside in case you left it open. It's also going to give you a little added protection against hail, and of course traveling with it open wouldn't be a big deal with the cover, but if you don't have that cover, you run the risk of damaging it. Again, just by contacting your parts department, they can put together a quote for you and have one installed before you even pick up the unit, if that was something you wanted. Shower, toilet, and then the most important piece in the bathroom, you got your main GFI plug here on the wall. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look. Just make sure that the system isn't tripped. Sometimes it can trip for the oddest reasons, and about 90% of the plugs are going to be ran through GFI. Above it, you get your thermostat for your water heater. Now, because your water heater is a tankless system, I will give you a little bit of insider information on it. The way essentially it heats water is a bunch of copper coils wrapped around in a circle. Water flows through those copper coils, and how it heats is there's a big flame that happens in the middle, and as the water is flowing through the copper coils, it's heated. Now, because of that, it does work a little bit differently than your standard household. In a house, you turn on the hot. If the hot's too hot, you turn on the cold to blend down the temperature a little bit. This system doesn't totally like that. It does, you can do it. It's not going to hurt it, but it does give you inadequate temperatures. You're going to get lots of bouncing around, lots of fluctuation, lots of cold spots. The way this system works is when you fire it up, You just want to set it to your desired temperature. So if that happens to be 48 degrees Celsius, set it there, leave it there. You just want to be able to find that hot water comfortable with just the hot tap on. You don't want to have to blend in the cold at all, because again, it just throws off the flow. Now, let's say that's not hot enough for you. Hopefully your kids aren't watching, because this is an added safety feature. You're locked to 51 degrees Celsius right off the bat. So once it's set in there, stop bouncing around like that. So you can push that one more time, push and hold it for 5 seconds, and it will unlock it and allow you to go up to 55. Just keep it in mind, 50 degrees Celsius water, it's extremely hot. It'll probably scald your hands, so just be extremely careful while doing so. Power button, turn it off, Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.